Hi, I'm Jessie Walters from Charles Rutenberg. I was coming to you today to explain to you a little bit on real estate, and this show is going to focus on real estate, which is hopefully going to educate you or answer some questions along the way. If we answer one question that you have, I feel like we did a good job. So we're going to go everywhere from new home buyer, investor, someone who flips houses, someone who wants to know about homesteads, someone who wants to know about home inspections. We're going to go all over the place with this real estate show and hopefully really give you some knowledge of what's going on with the real estate market and stuff too. So where did I come from? I'm from Florida, and I grew up in Tarpon Springs and Pasco County. I was in real estate at a young age, not on purpose, more like our house got foreclosed when I was about 12 years old. So I kind of got the bad side of real estate, and I think this is where I get my passion from. I've bought and sold over 100 houses myself personally, investments and flips, and I've helped numerous people along 15 years of buying and selling and being licensed with Charles Rutenberg. So I think I know everything as far as how to land on your feet from real estate, and hopefully I can help you guys out too. Today we have some guests with us. We have Lindsay Weber from Keystone Mortgage, and she's going to explain to us for first-time home buyers everywhere from FHA, conventional mortgages, all the things that you might have questions on in the purchasing of homes. And as the real estate show progresses, we're going to have the question of the day, which is going to be kind of interesting, with just different people emailing and Facebook posting and just questions in regards to something that they always wanted to know about real estate and have just a need to know or just a curiosity on it. Today I had the question of the day by Lisa Spencer on Facebook. She had asked, how much does a home inspection cost? Does that include a check for foundation and mold? That's an interesting question because most home inspections don't check for foundations and for mold and stuff like that. An average home inspection basically is based on the square footage of your house that you're purchasing and if there's a pool or not. So that's kind of an interesting question, and we're going to go into that more into the shows and hopefully answer her question for her. But again, that was for Lisa Spencer, and she was asking about home inspection costs. We're going to have a home inspector on in the next couple weeks, and I'm going to ask him that question too, and hopefully that will answer some of her questions and stuff. And we're going to go over credit scores, and actually today we're going to go over credit scores too to see kind of where you need to start as far as a first-time home buyer, where you actually is a good starting point as far as down payments, etc. And we're just going to go from there and hopefully answer a lot of your questions. I'm going to start with a bunch of listings too that I have. Most of them are under contract now, but I have 2 that are available for sale, and we're going to show those to you as well. And I'm trying to think what else we're going to do here. We have some first-time home buyer questions as well, as far as like what the abbreviations are for FHA, VA, conventional, things that you take for granted that everybody knows when you're in this market, as we are, things that you take for granted and we know, but when you're a first-time home buyer, you don't necessarily know what everything is and what all our abbreviations are and all that. So we're going to take time to explain that too. If you're looking for me, I'm on Jessie Sells Houses, Jessie Raybold-Walters on Facebook at Jessie Sell Houses. And Instagram, I'm Jessie Walters 1 Realtor Tampa. And also it's 15 years in the business, and we're going to go we're also going to have some guest stars. The SPCA is going to come on, not today, but they're going to be coming on in the next couple weeks and bring some of the guest stars. I call them superstars, the dogs and cats that need, adopting. And also going to have some with the holidays. We're going to have Beverly Harris. She is a really kind person. Her and her husband donate their time, and they actually give back to the community. That's in Pasco County, where they take and they get donations, and they take it to homeless people, homeless for food, and they meet with tents and stuff like that. So we're going to actually take and get some information from them and find out where we can donate and go with some different things as far as the actual things we can help out in our different communities. I'm located in Pasco, Hernando, Pinellas, and Hillsborough is where I mainly help and sell and list for customers. And this is the areas that we're going to concentrate on for as far as the SPCA, as far as the mortgage people, the insurance people, just all this in the Tampa Bay area, which is important to find out kind of how the actual real estate market is going in the Tampa Bay market. As far as how come when I'm purchasing a home, there's no homes for sale? How come there's 3 houses for sale and they go under contract within 15 minutes? How come people are buying houses without even seeing them these days? The inventory is really low right now, so you have a whole different type of buying. And people are comparing it to 2005, 2006, 2007 when the market dropped. I mean, is it different? I mean, these are all questions that we're going to ask and answer. In 2006, we had, the same thing. We had a lot of houses going under contract within a day, people buying 2 and 3 houses at a time, investors just to purchase what was available in that market at the time. And then the market failed. So people are nervous right now, but it's not slowing down the sales. If you're a seller in Pasco County, Pinellas County, Hillsborough County, and Hernando County, if you set your price at the right price right now, you will sell it it should be under contract within a week or 2. If you've priced it higher or you've taken it into your own hands of how you felt it should be priced and priced a little higher, it may take you a little bit longer, but there's hardly anything for sale. So it's a fantastic time for sellers to actually sell their home right now. It's a fantastic time for a buyer because of the low interest rates. The low interest rates being less than 3%, which is a fantastic, fantastic place. And that's the difference between 2006, 2007, 2008. Our interest rates are so much lower. So you're dealing with just a really great market right now as far as purchasing, payments so low. I was calling it free money. So it's a good place, good time to be purchasing, although it's really low inventory. So like I was saying, if you are a seller and you want to go ahead and sell your house within a week or so, close within 30 days, this is a great time to do it because you have so many people who need housing, especially all the people from up north who are moving to Florida to get that investment property or to get that relocation. Florida is always the place where a lot of people end up from the melting pot from all over the whole United States. So with that being said, the houses are going so fast, and it's a lot of out-of-state buyers, especially right now. If you look at the license plates on the cars, you'll see that there's just loads of people from out of state right now, which is fantastic for us as realtors. But again, I know I talk fast, so the main focus of this show is going to be focusing on real estate. So if you have any questions, you can email me, Jessie Walters 146@gmail.com. And I can go over that question of the day, whatever it was, like how do I file homestead exemption? If you've purchased a home this year, you should have filed it before the first of the year, is what I like to say, but it's really March. But if you purchased it this year, you can file it before next year and the deadline stuff. But we're going to go over all sorts of stuff like that, helpful information that you might not know. Just different things that you may have questions on. But I'm kind of excited because there's so many ways to go with this. Like I was saying, from mortgages to insurance to home inspectors to, grant programs, all sorts of different ways. And just different areas, Pinellas, Pasco, Hernando, Hillsborough, those counties, the growth, the actual growth in the population in the areas is exciting too. Even new construction, we're going to talk about new construction too. For instance, when you see a house for sale and it says starting at, what does that mean? Is that the total price? How do I get pre-approved for that? Is it plus a lot? Is it plus improvements? All the stuff that you might not know, that as a realtor being in the industry for so long, I can kind of help you and steer you in that direction so you know at least what to ask. Depending on which builders, if you're looking at new construction, some builders come with the whole package of the house done. And then some builders, you have to add the lot, you have to add on the upgrades, the appliances. Where it used to be 2005, 2006, you bought the house, it came with all the upgrades. Now it's a little different. Some of the new home builds, even in Starkey Ranch, the average upgrade is $70,000. So when you see a sign and you're like, I can afford that, the house is $350,000, you're going to have to add on about $70,000 plus $10,000 to, actually $15,000 for a lot. But a lot of people don't know all the information that we have, so we're going to go with market specialists in each area and actually educate you guys. So when you're walking in to an open house and you're first-time home buyer, you know what questions to ask. So when you're walking into a new construction, you know which questions to ask as far as, does the refrigerator come with it? Is this granite included? Is there granite in the bathrooms too? Just stuff that you need to know. Is this a flood zone? How much is the flood insurance when you're purchasing a home? If I buy a house in the 1930s, is the electrical panel going to be a problem for the insurance? Just insurance advisors, all these questions that people have in the real estate field that no one actually goes over. And so you don't know until you're purchasing a home, until you're on the line of actually, you're signing the contract and you're writing it out and you're like, what do you mean there's a flood insurance premium of $1,200 a year? Don't worry, it's in the payment. It's only $100 a month. But you should probably know these questions before you go, or at least when you're shopping in the area, you should know if you're in a flood zone. So hopefully this real estate, this show is going to help you and educate you on, when you get in the car and you're west of 19, you know that most likely you're in a flood zone. You're gonna be educated on where you're at for your FHA mortgage. Like, what does FHA mean? Just all different questions that you as a consumer may have, and no one took time to tell you. You're supposed to know this stuff, and I don't know how, but when you're done with this show, and every week we're trying to upgrade, upgrade you as far as a person who's a purchaser, who's educated in real estate, and this is going to help you. And I really do think it's going to help, and it's going to help us too, because we're going to get to talk about real estate, which we're all passionate about. Like I said, I started real estate by accident. We got our house foreclosed when I was 12, like I was saying, and from there I always wanted to see people with their home purchases and wanted to help people not lose their homes and not necessarily sell your home. If you have equity in your home and you have questions, should I buy or sell? I've been doing this for so long. I mean, again, I'm not a financial advisor, but I have no problem with helping you to tell you, this is the best way you should do. Should I refinance? Maybe. Should I try to pay it off? Maybe. Should I sell it? Maybe. Should I keep it and rent it? Maybe. These are all questions. If I sit with you, I can tell you. And if you're my customer, you know that sometimes I've gone to your house and said, you should not sell this house. You should keep this house. What's wrong with this house? I'm brutally honest when it comes to that, and I would never steer anyone in the wrong direction as far as a purchase or a sale. When I have a purchaser, I usually say to them, live and have a house. Don't live for your house. You want to be able to purchase the home, go to dinner, watch a movie, still be able to have date night with your significant other, still be able to live and eat. You don't want to be on macaroni and cheese or beans and rice for the rest of your life. So, to live within your means. But of course, if you want to buy $1 million house, pay cash, I'll still help you. But just saying, you just have to be at least educated in your decisions. And I try to help you so you don't get into any type of financial situations where you didn't really see that was coming, But if you are my client, I think that if you have been, you already know that I'm out for you and I will fight for you as far as like representing you guys and stuff. But anyway, we have a great show coming today. I'm going to talk with Lindsay Weber from Keystone Mortgage, and she's going to tell us all about first-time home buyers and what your first step is to purchase your credit where it needs to be, different things about credit. So we're going to look to talk to her in just a minute here. And we have the SPCA coming in. They couldn't make it today. They had an emergency last minute, but they're going to be in hopefully next week, and we're going to see some guest stars with the SPCA. And the following week, we have a stager. Is it with the house staging? Is it, worth spending the money to stage your house? Is it not worth, how fast does it help you sell? Are you getting more in return because you're spending this extra money on staging? We're going to find out all those questions after too. That's going to be next week when we're going to have her come in. And then we're also going to have AAA insurance the following week. She's going to show us all about getting those insurances, what to look for when you're actually getting about roof certifications, electrical panels, all the other things that you need to know for first-time home buyers or actually new purchases, what you need to know to actually get that insurance issued. And we're going to talk with her, Diana Bennett at AAA Insurance as well. So we have a couple of nice shows lined up. And again, Beverly Harris, she's going to tell us how to donate for Christmas so we can do some nice stuff for people in Pasco. That's in Pasco County. So, and she's in Pinellas too. So, but we'll get back to you soon on that. And we're going to take a break. And Lindsay Weber is going to join us. Thank you so much.
All right, this week we're going to talk about something exciting as usual.
We always have something exciting.
Yes, we do.
At least it's exciting to us.
But this is a question that comes up.
TV, hey, it is Friday night. We're not here. Yes, we pre-recorded once again because WeBeam TV is working over in Tampa with Dancing with the Stars.
62 Who Knew. I almost said Professional Mortgage Alliance, Joe's Bar and Grill. But actually, it's our 39th week of 62 Who Knew.
We're at the wonderful steampunk event at the Verizon Event Center here in 2019. I think it's still August, right? Yeah. Woo! Can't remember anymore.
Yes. To be able to help businesses to do that part of it. But it's just been a couple of years.
Well, and I've taken the business card files from our business cards and
Entrepreneurs and professionals of Tampa Bay, welcome to your hour for getting the information, the tools, and the connections
Ian
for
Beckles on Radio Influence.
Or you say left hand white, and then they catch the left hand white. What it does, it helps you quick with hand-eye coordination. Yeah.
Well, that's kind
As your super connector, we want to introduce you to our 50-plus show partners. We got over 80 categories of expert contributor advice here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, and we want to.
That's where we disagree, but that's okay.
I said nonviolent.
That's okay.
Because, we're one of the only states that don't give them back the right. Got Jamie Limbaugh. He is from the Next Step Image. I love that name because you were telling me earlier.
For the type of republic we actually are is actually very correct. Yet politicians and regular people use these words interchangeably, even though technically they are very different.
If you're an overdoer, overachiever, people pleaser, we tend to neglect ourselves. Mm-hmm. And even as Sisters Connected here, with Women Unscripted, I know
I'm Jessie Walters. I'm from Charles Rutenberg, and I have a guest today, Lindsay Weber from Keystone Mortgage.
Hello.
Can
How
I
are
say
you?
your name?
Can you say it?
Yeah, Lindsay Weber. Yeah, so we wanted to talk about today about first-time home buyers. That was what a lot of questions I got on Facebook and on actual social media, and they asked down to like what actually is FHA. Like they had no idea about credit scores. They had no idea how to get actually pre-qualified, where to start. So in fact, I was getting my nails done by my friend Lauren, and she actually asked me what exactly is FHA. So, and she's a first-time home buyer, and thanks for asking me that, Lauren, because I just realized that we're so in it that we don't actually realize that we're reeling off FHA, VA, USDA, conventional, you know what I mean? And
Right.
we're so into our abbreviations, we don't even take time with our actual home buyers to tell them what they're signing up for, you know?
Right.
So if you were, say, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and I was just first time, what do you think as far as like, what's my credit score? Is that where I start?
That is where you start. First, you would take a full application, basically all of their personal information, name, address, social security number, date of birth, where they've worked for the past 2 years, where they've lived for the past 2 years, do they currently rent, do they live with family, are they in school, all of those things come into play. And then we pull a hard credit pool and see what their credit scores look like.
Okay, and so when you were saying on the school, that just reminded me too, because a lot of people ask me as well, they'll say, well, I've been going to college and I have this school balance, my college I haven't paid for. Is that going to go against me? I have this,
Depends on the type of loan structure. But if they're currently still in school and that loan is deferred, then we do not have to count that payment towards them.
Okay. So extend that school day a little longer if you're trying to get
right.
No, I got to go one more year. I need my bachelor's.
We only use a certain percentage of it, or if their repayment is based on their current income, things like that come into play.
Okay, and what about, it just reminded me too, medical. I have a lot of people ask me, and that's a good question. They'll say, I have these medical bills and I've been paying them, but they're on my credit score. Is that more of like, I don't want to throw words out people don't know, but is that like a debt ratio thing, or is that like it depends if you've been paying or?
So usually medical, they only report to your credit if there's a collection.
Okay.
If they're a collection, then they don't necessarily count towards your ratios to get qualified for a mortgage, but they do affect your actual credit score.
Okay. So in other words, like it's your debt ratio as far as what your income's coming and you're paying out that payment. Mm-hmm. It's subtracted from there.
It is.
Okay. Yeah, because I wondered about that. So we had the what your credit is derived of as far as your. So what is it? So as far as like the whole credit score, what is that actually? I guess the addition that they use to come up with your entire credit score.
Okay. One-time payments, how much of your credit that you're utilizing, and what that means is if you have a credit limit that has a $2,000 limit, you don't want to have a $2,000 balance. You want to have 30% or less.
Right.
And that is how much of your credit you're actually utilizing. The length of how long you've had the use of credit comes into play, and the types of credit that's used. If you have like a car is a lease that has an end.
Right.
If you have a credit card has no end. So you're continuously using it, paying some down,
Right.
continuously using it. It's called a revolving trade line.
Okay, and then on credits, do they credit like actual credit cards? When you get your say your score, do they use the total that you can actually like on your debt ratio or on your when they're doing the numbers? Do they do the like say you have a $5,000 credit or $2,000 like you said? Do they do it as $2,000 or do they just do it as how much you actually owe on that credit card?
So they're gauging your credit score based on the amount that you owe in comparison to how much your high credit limit is.
Okay, so don't go max it out.
No, 30% or less.
Yeah, and then during when you go don't go buy
Right.
a
And
couch.
don't close it.
Yeah, don't close it. Don't buy a TV. Don't buy a car. Don't buy a motorcycle.
No. And when you're buying a home, don't say, oh, I have this credit card. I'm going to use it and I'm going to go buy the furniture before we close.
Right.
Or I'm going to go and I need a new car.
And that's a whole nother, we could do a whole nother show on
Yes, we
that.
could.
In fact, that was one of my questions on the hub on the, so I was like, hey, does anybody have any questions? Real estate questions. We're going to do this show and we're going to help out everybody. And a lot of realtors on there. And I said, hey, what do you guys usually, like, what's the most popular question? Well, a lot of people, I won't mention any names, that they started the whole, did you read it?
No.
They started this whole thing of, what not to do instead of like what questions. Do not go, and that was it. Do not go buy furniture. Do not go buy a new television that's $5,000.
We get to the end and you're like, oh no, I've got to fix it.
Go
Or
return
sometimes
it.
you can't.
Yeah,
Right. Sometimes you can't.
So, and then, okay, so Mr. and Mrs. Smith, they go, they fill out the application. How long do they have to be, or how long do I have to be at my job before I go? That's another good question.
So that is a tough question because it is based on circumstance. Your ideal client has been on their job for 2 years, they're a W-2 employee, they're consistently making their regular paychecks, but that doesn't mean that somebody that just started a job can't get a loan. For
Right.
example, first-time home buyers, they just got out of school,
Right.
Whatever the circumstances, and they're moving, we'll say, to Florida from out of state, and they get a job offer. I can use that job offer letter for FHA in order to qualify them.
Okay.
If they're out of school, that's their first job. They don't have a 2-year history. So
What about with COVID? So a lot of people lost their jobs and then they've started in the same line of work and they've took like a break, say our COVID break, say our 9-month COVID break or 6-month COVID break. How does that work right now?
So right now we have to basically prove that they're back to work full time making.
So again, the letter probably.
Yeah,
or-
a letter from either their employer, or if they've changed jobs, then we need to show that they're actually making income, making a 40-hour week.
Right, and it's pay stubs, right? It's how many pay stubs? Or it's like if you get
1
paid every
month.
2 weeks? Okay,
Yep,
1 month.
1 month.
Okay. Okay, so that's good to know as far as, so now they've, so let's just call him Mr. and Ms. Smith, although I know a lot of Smiths I've sold to. Hi, Colleen. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Richard. Like, I know a whole bunch of Smiths. I could go on. But anyway, but I'm not picking on you guys and not you guys to, so now they're filling out the application, and they've got okay credit. What credit score is, like, what's the number now that, so
Ideally, I'd like a 640. However, we can go all the way down to 580. But 580, we are going to ask for everything under the sun, and we're going to be doing lots of documentation and lots of paperwork and lots of letters of explanation and waiting for underwriters to be able to have the time to look at that particular application. And it's a lot more in depth when you have a 580 score compared to a 640.
Right, and too, a lot of people, I think in the, and you were talking about 2005, 2006, it wasn't that it was free money because the interest rates were a lot higher.
Correct.
But it was easy money. Like you just fill out an application and it would just be like, yeah, I work here. And they called the one time, but
Right.
now things are, I mean, people, I tell them don't take it personal because they're going to call. And on the day before, they're going to call and do a job verification. So don't quit your job. I just had one. He forgot to tell everybody he quit his job, but didn't think, because last time he bought was 2006. So he didn't realize that they call and verify,
Yep.
So that's a new thing too. But
Within
yeah,
those few days right before closing, they do call and verify that you are still employed there.
Yeah.
Which is very different from the way that it used to be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, okay, so that's good to know. And then if you say I'm a first-time home buyer, I don't have any credit, what do I do to get credit? Like what do you suggest that we do to build up credit?
So in order for it to report on credit, it actually has to be a reportable trade line. But you can have liabilities added to your credit report if needed to get some sort of credit score. You can use your car insurance, you can use your cell phone bill, but you have to prove that you've made these payments for the past 12 months in order for them to report on your credit report.
Right.
Some of the lenders that I work with, as long as I have at least one credit score and one trade line, I'm able to use what's called alternative credit. And that alternative credit is
Power.
Yes, their insurance, their car insurance, their cell phone bills, things that don't typically report to your credit report,
Right.
but I have to be able to show that full 12-month history
Right.
that
So if
they've
you're-
paid on
so
time.
you're saying if you're renting, make sure you're paying your cell phone bill on time, make sure you're paying your electric bill on time, just in
Correct,
case you
if
have to
you need to
need
use
those.
that.
Yeah.
Correct. Yep.
And then as far as I know there's different types of mortgages to use. What do you suggest as far as, I'm going to say, like, your first-time home buyer, we just got, like you said, done with college. We've been at jobs for a little bit. How much, as far as, I guess, which mortgage and how much do I need to save up, I think are real popular questions,
Okay. So most people think that they have to have 20% to put down on a mortgage, and that is no longer true. With FHA, which is more geared towards first-time home buyers, it's 3.5%, plus, of course, your closing costs. But there's ways that you can.
So, like, again, talking to them, I can know that 3.5%, they're like, 3.5%, what's that? You know what I mean?
Right. So if it's a $100,000 purchase, which then it's $3,500 that they have to put as down payment alone.
Right.
That money can be gifted. That money can.
So a family member can help you out with that?
Yes, it has to be a blood relative for them to be able to gift them that money.
Yeah, and don't just put the money in your account. No. Yeah, and that's a whole nother. That's a whole nother show.
We can talk about that for a very long time.
To talk about
well,
that.
I've saved this money and I put it in a box and it's up on my shelf. Well, I can't use that money.
Yeah.
It has to be in your bank account, or if you're getting gift funds from a relative, they have to source it. They're going to have to show me their bank statement. They're going to have to fill out a letter stating that they've gifted you this money and they're not required to pay you back in order to be able to utilize those funds.
So that would be something that they would directly talk to their lender, hopefully Lindsay, about the actual.
My job is to take the beautiful picture that they're giving to me and me to put it together.
Yeah.
So I need to know all. Right. I need to know all the details.
Don't hold back.
Right. Give me all the details so I'm able to put everything together and make a presentation basically to the lender
and tell them which loan is best for them and stuff. Yeah. So there's different loan types. There's FHA. There's VA. There's USDA.
Yep.
You have all these different loans, and of course USDA, we don't really see that a lot because those are loans where an area has been hurt and the government's trying to offer
it's a rural area.
Yeah, so usually, like the last USDA I sold was off of 50. I want to say it's not County Line, but it's State Road 50. There was one area for USDA, and USDA was zero down.
Yes, there's a map that certain homes qualify for. Yes.
Yeah, and the same thing with like they'll have teacher loans, or actually I also saw something unusual was a doctor's loan, and I was thinking doctors
for student loans.
Yeah, they have 0% down.
Yeah, so they don't have to qualify using those student loans.
Doctor, you're buying like $1 million house and you have 0%. How do I sign up for that? Well, apparently I didn't do enough college. I just did my roles. So I was like, wow, that's amazing. But I was thinking they're going to put this huge amount down, and they put 0 down, and they just came with their closing costs. So that's another whole nother story. But
it is.
Yeah. So, but USDA, VA, I would say the most popular that you're going to go through is conventional and FHA. So, what do you think the differences as far as those two loans are?
Okay. So I'll compare FHA and conventional. So conventional. They have a little bit more tighter guideline. They do have less money down, which is 3%, which is our Home Possible or Home Ready. They are for first-time home buyers. And there's, for FHA, I have a little bit more lenience on credit score, debt-to-income ratio, where those funds are coming from for down payment. How long that they've been on their job, things like that.
Right, so that's like fresh out of college. That's a good, or a new home buyer. I mean, there's no age, obviously age discrimination with any of these loans, but it's great if you're coming out of college and you're
somebody that's young and just starting out. It's a good program for them.
Yeah.
Sometimes they get their tax returns back. They're using tax money to put as down payment.
The only thing I think, and again, another PMI, which people are like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
PMS, we know that, but
right.
PMI. I'm just kidding. But what's PMI?
So with FHA, you basically have an upfront mortgage insurance premium, which is 1.75% of whatever that purchase price is.
Right.
So
on top of your payment.
On top of that, they allow you to finance it, meaning that they're going to have, all right, here's our base loan amount, and then on top of that, we're going to have an additional 1.75% for that upfront mortgage insurance premium.
Right.
And then on a monthly basis, we have PMI, which is the private mortgage insurance, and with FHA, you don't get rid of that.
Right.
With conventional, you either can have options to buy it out, or you...
Yeah, it's 20%?
So yes,
of the mortgage.
If you put 20% down, you don't have PMI, or it automatically
pay.
falls off at 78% based on your amortization schedule.
Right. And again, that's another whole nother show
It
because
is.
you have to get your appraisal in. Yeah, like automatically,
Yep.
it's close. But yeah, so those are two awesome loans and two different, ways to go. And then as far as getting them qualified, so now you've got FHA has a limit though too. So the people that are purchasing first-time home buyers aren't going to go be able to spend, $1 million on
Correct.
a house.
So the max within our area, kind of Pasco County, Hernando County, Hillsborough, our general area, Tampa Bay, St. Pete, Clearwater, our max loan amount is going to be $331,760.
Okay.
And that's for a single family home.
Right. So that's a nice home.
Yeah,
That's
that's a-
331.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was actually looking at that because of the interest rates being so low as far as like the valuations.
Well, they qualify for more too because
Yeah.
they're paying less interest as far as debt to income ratio. They were
Right.
able to buy a bigger house because our interest rates are so low right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and sometimes, actually not so much in this market right now. You can ask for closing costs from your actual seller, but I mean, that is an option too to
That's
help
pretty
you come
tough
out.
right now, right? Though,
Yeah.
to get somebody to do seller concessions.
Yeah, the price, like a lot of times I was actually going to have a show just about tips to actually purchase, like the new home buyers actually putting bids in, how to go about doing that because they're losing actual, houses without, just different
just
things.
because
tips.
they're asking for like seller concessions or something like that when somebody
Right,
else
exactly.
is offering more.
Well, I guess we're going to wrap this up and we're going to continue in a couple of minutes. We're going to take a little break and we'll be right back. Thank you so much.
All right, this week we're going to talk about something exciting as usual.
We always have something exciting.
Yes, we do.
At least it's exciting to us.
But this is a question that comes up.
TV, hey, it is Friday night. We're not here. Yes, we pre-recorded once again because WeBeam TV is working over in Tampa with Dancing with the Stars.
62 who knew. I almost said Professional Mortgage Alliance Joe's Bar and Grill, but actually it's our 39th week. 62 who knew.
We're at the wonderful steampunk event at the Verizon Event Center here in 2019. I think it's still August, right? Yeah. Woo! Can't remember it.
Yes. To be able to help businesses to do that part of it. But it's just been a couple of years.
Well, and I've taken the business card files from our business cards.
Entrepreneurs and professionals of Tampa Bay, welcome to your hour for getting the information, the tools, and the connections
Ian
for
Beckles on Radio Influence.
Or you say left-hand white, and then they catch the left-hand white. What it does, it helps you quick with hand-eye coordination. Yeah.
Well, that's kind
As your super connector, we want to introduce you to our 50-plus show partners. We got over 80 categories of expert contributor advice here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, and we want to.
That's where we disagree, but that's okay.
I said nonviolent.
That's okay.
Because, we're one of the only states that don't give them back their rights. Got Jamie Limbaugh. He is from the Next Step Image. I love that name because you were telling me earlier.
For the type of republic we actually are is actually very correct. Yet politicians and regular people use these words interchangeably, even though technically they are very different.
If you're an overdoer, overachiever, people pleaser, we tend to neglect ourselves. And even as Sisters Connected here, with Women Unscripted, I know
Jessie Walters from Charles Rutenberg, and I'm here today with Lindsay Weber from Keystone Mortgage, and we're just continuing about first-time home buyers and information to help you out. We also wanted to show a couple of listings before we get started on the getting back to more information, but we wanted to show a couple of listings that are active that I got to show off for my customers to let you see what's out there that's still available. This one's on Lacey Drive, 12371 Lacey Drive in Newport Richey. It's a lakefront property. It's right on Moon Lake, which is a nice area as far as you can boat, you can fish, you can swim. There's a big pool in the back. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and I originally sold it to the original seller, and I'm reselling it for the family. It has a new roof, new AC, new pool surfacing. The house is in great shape, and it has that lakefront feel, lake living. It's just a real nice property as far as being on vacation at home, looking out at a beautiful view on your backyard. It's a real nice property. So that's the one property, and the other property I have is at 15127 Surrey Bend in Brooksville. This is a gorgeous property. It's a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom, 3-car garage. It's on a corner lot, so you have a side entry garage. It's just beautiful. It has just an upgraded kitchen with large kitchen cabinets, nice separate dining room, dining area with a formal dining area too, and that's the kitchen with the large cabinets. It's beautiful. It has Corian countertops, tile throughout, just kept immaculately, and it's in a very nice gated, gorgeous area and stuff. They're both the one property on on Lacey is $329, and the property on Surrey Bend is $359, and they're both beautiful properties. If you want any information, please call me 727-992-2923. But anyway, we're back to talking about mortgages. We're trying to help out some first-time home buyers, and what was interesting is we were talking about different interest rates and stuff, and the interest rates now are just amazing how low they are. When we were comparing them to like the 2005, 2006, but we were actually going back to even like what it was years ago. And yeah, here's our chart. So 1970s had interest rates of like 8.86, and that's like when grandparents were buying a house, and we were basing this on $300,000 home, but you can kind of see what their payments were, $2,300 a month for a $300,000 home in the 70s. But it kind of gives you, about the interest rate, gives you an idea. And then you have like 1980s, 12.7%. It went up. 1990s, 8.1. And you can kind of see the difference in the actual interest rates, 3,248 and 2,267 in the 90s at 8.12. The 2000s started to go down at 6.29%. I know in 2005, 2006, they were still, just dependent if you could get the house, it was, between 6 and 8%. I'd see people pay up to 10 just to get houses, to actually as third and fourth property. So it was a little crazy. And then you have 2000, today you have the same property that was $2,300 in 1970, $1,238, as far as $300,000 loan, $1,238. Based on 2.96%, and I'm sure you've seen interest rates even lower now, right?
Yeah, they're pretty much in the mid to high 2s. And for the mortgages that we're buying now, people qualify for more because the interest rates are so low.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, back when either our parents were buying a house, their $300,000 house was enormous, big, huge house. And today, we're looking at homes. They're gorgeous. They're, beautiful lakefronts. But you get more house than...
Yeah, in 1970.
Yeah.
I know the little house, well, not little, but the average houses in Embassy Hills, I saw some of those like 15,000, 25,000 in the 70s. Like I to do the tax roll and look.
And now they're like 100 and some over.
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing. So you imagine when at 300,000, I was just saying that like Johnny Cash's house, I don't know, the one on the river, it was like 300,000. I'm like, it's like $1 million house. But yeah, so the interest rates are so low nowadays. I just had a buyer, and her interest rate, they told her like 2.8, and then when it came out it was 2.4. She was so happy. The loan went down so much. And she was worried because of the way the market is right now. Am I overpaying? Because it feels like it's the height again of the housing market. And I told her, I'm like, it's relative, because if the interest rates go up, this house, say the house price goes down, you're going to be exactly the same payment. So it is relative as far as for me, but I mean, I don't know if she understood that, but I'm always like, does that make sense? You know? Tell me that makes sense. So, yeah, so I'm like, it's free money at 2%, you know?
Yep. I call it cheap money, whatever you want to call it. Same,
almost
same
free.
idea.
It's almost free anymore houses.
It's very low. I mean, think about what you're paying on your credit cards.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 18% revolving credit. You know, that's what they can be at some points.
Yep.
So when we were talking about the closing costs, we had broke it down as far as 3.5%. The difference.
Good rule of thumb, 3.5% of whatever your purchase price is for closing cost.
Right, for FHA. So now, I have Mr. and Mrs. Smith. They've got, you like that again?
I do.
Hi, the Smiths. And they come with their 3.5%. So let's say it's a $200,000 house. So they got $7,000. Now, I have to explain to them that that's 3.5% for your loan.
Correct.
Not necessarily all the money you need, because you need more money. So what is this other money that you're going to have to put? What does that cover?
So it's for your closing cost. Sometimes there's an origination fee. So I get paid. I have two ways of getting paid. I can get paid by either the lender, which is typically built within your interest rate, or we do a flat rate origination. So that's part of your closing cost. And then the rest of it, you have your title cost, how much it costs to transfer the title and the deed, to record it. Most of your closing costs are coming from the title company. So all of those combined, you're probably looking at an additional 3.5% to your down payment. And then on top of that, you have to remember that you have to have an escrow account and you have to have insurance on the property.
Right, and that saves you from coming up with that money at the end of the year. So once you put that money in escrow and they're going to include that in your mortgage, they're also going to pay that bill for you too, which is exciting because you don't have to come up with your homeowner's insurance. You don't have to come up with your taxes every year, which is a plus, you know.
So they collect them on a monthly basis. So when you're buying a house, for insurance at least, you have to pay for that entire year. When you go to have that payment due the following year, you've made monthly mortgage payments that they've taken a portion of that mortgage payment and set it aside, so they have the money to pay it when it's due.
Right, in the escrow. That's that's awesome. Yeah, so that's good to know. So on 200,000, you're thinking 7,000 and probably another 7,000 closing costs. So really about 14,000.
About 14,000 total.
Okay, and then two, you were saying, well, okay, so Mr. and Mrs. Smith or Miss Smith or Mr. Smith or whatever, the Smiths, they don't have it. So they have their grandma or their rich aunt.
So you can have gift funds from a relative.
Right.
There's lots of help. You can make an offer on a home and actually have the seller try to contribute towards your closing cost. It's not as easy nowadays as it used to be because of the housing market and there being such a high demand and so little inventory to get somebody to accept your offer by including those closing costs and having that seller pay them. But there's also down payment assistance programs depending upon the county that you're purchasing in. Or we have a program that's called Chenoa. And that is basically 3.5%. It's a soft second. So basically that means that they're giving you the money for your down payment, but you don't have a monthly payment as long as you follow the rules.
Right. So you can't. So if I do that, I think that's any home assistance. If you try to flip that house, you can't.
Nope. You have
There's
to
a
keep
lien
it for
on
5
that
years.
property on the deed. Yeah. So a lot of people don't know that too because they're like, well, if I get this down payment assistant, it's my first house, I can go ahead and I can sell that house.
No.
Well, there's guidelines. Yeah. So there's no such thing as free, you know.
Right. Nope. It's not totally free, but it's very helpful, especially if somebody is a first-time home buyer.
If you intend to especially stay there for a while.
Sure.
So Pasco County, I think their first-time home buyer, I think it's dry right now, right?
It is. It's suspended. Partially due to COVID. July 2nd is when they suspended it.
Yeah, and I know that sounds like, because a lot of people are like, well, I want to do the first-time home buyer program, and there is a first-time home buyer program, and if I'm not your realtor, whatever realtor you use has to go to this first-time home buyer program too and sit in there, and the mortgage broker, we all have to be involved in that, which most of us are, but there also has to be money for you to get, and right now Pasco County has closed that, but they do reopen it, and as soon as when they do reopen it, it's good to be all done with your class so that you can get that money.
And that class is good for a year. So buyers can go and they can prepare themselves and take the first-time home buyer class now. And that certificate that they get when they're done with that class, it is good for 1 year.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So, so the class. So say we have the 2 people. What's the income levels on that first-time home buyer?
It is based on the number of people in the home. So if it's only those 2 people, depending upon what their income is, you can qualify for very low income, which means that between the 2 people in that house, they can't make more than $28,150 per year. 80%, which is another classification, you can't make more than $45,000 per year. And then moderate is you can't make more than $67,560. And based on those dollar amounts and how much you make, then you would qualify for how much they're willing to contribute.
So let's just say there's 2 of us, we're working, we just got done college, we're making like $60,000. Do I qualify?
Yep, you do. And you qualify for a $5,000 down payment assistance, but you have to contribute $1,500 of your own funds.
Right.
On a monthly basis, you're going to add to your mortgage payment $41.67. So on that particular scenario, you would have an additional monthly payment, but they were going to give you the $5,000 to put down to purchase your home.
Yeah, and that's something. Now, I think on that one, you don't have to pay it back unless you sell that house early, right? On that one? But you are paying it back,
That
really.
one you do pay back.
Okay.
And it takes about 10 years to pay it back.
Okay. Yeah, because are there any that you don't pay back? That's a straight up grant?
Yes, then that's for your very low income.
Okay.
And after
I was
5
gonna say,
years,
I did one,
it's
but I couldn't remember which one.
automatically deferred. Yep.
Right. There was the neighborhood stabilization program. That's on a hold too. There's no homes left in Pasco with the neighborhood.
Correct.
The NSP right now. That's another fishbowl.
Yeah.
Do you remember that was so they have a fishbowl literally in Pasco County, and if you put your application in for that program, they pull your name out of the fishbowl, and I would say, put mine on top, shake it to the top, put it on top. I go back in there, put it on top again.
It's like a lottery.
Yeah,
Yep.
it is. Yeah.
Sometimes you win and sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
And there's lots of people that apply.
Yeah.
Currently, the only one that I'm able to utilize that I'm aware of due to COVID restrictions is the Chenoa program. There's a lot that's involved in it, but basically they have a lot more requirements than your normal county down payment assistance program. They look at your credit score when the county does not.
Right.
They look at your debt to income ratio. But basically, they look to give you 3.5% for that down payment. There's no interest rate. It is a second. You're not allowed to sell that house within a certain amount of time in order to not have to pay it back.
And
so
what's
on
the
and so
income
forth.
level on that one? I haven't used that one yet.
Again, it has qualifications.
Right.
I would have to look, but
Yeah, that's interesting to know, though, that one is available because
it goes off of your debt to income ratio. It doesn't necessarily have you make $45,000 a year.
Yeah. Because that's the NSP. They were, they had a line. So if you made 500 more, you were not getting that,
right.
So
some of these programs, you make $1 more than that, then you don't qualify.
You're not on there.
Yep.
Yeah. And a lot of the programs too, like a lot of times when people are applying for homes, they don't realize that your bank account's going to be heavily watched as far as not like FBI, but they're gonna see if you're spending frivolously or if you have money. Like what they're looking for is if cash deposits are going in and out, stuff like that.
So
What
you
else?
have large deposits. Sometimes they want to know, if you have a reoccurring bill that's showing up on your credit report, or not on your credit report, but showing up in your bank statement, they want to know what that bill is.
Right.
If it's not your typical electric or, something that doesn't report to your credit report. Say that you have a privately held mortgage and you're making that payment coming out of your bank statement and you haven't disclosed. That would be counted against you and looked at.
I had a funny story. We were short on the some income, and so they said we're going to sell our car. So they sold the car, and the car came in overvalued because it had all these rims and it had all this crazy stuff on it. It was all done. One of my customers, Sheila, if you're watching. So anyway, it was like crazy done up. So they gave us such a hard time. We just sent pictures of it. You know what they normally look like. We had to find Blue Book, Kelly Blue Book. I was
Yeah,
just,
and your bill of sale and the value of it.
They had to find the bill of sale and get the copy of the title. It was so you have to just be, kind of tone it down what you're doing. Just be accountable for what you're, for a first-time home buyer. But Lindsay would be happy to help with anything. So tell me, I never asked you. We were just talking about how many years you've been in the business because you look so young.
I know. I actually was in high school when I first started in the mortgage industry.
I thought you were like 10 years old.
No. So 24 years. I've been in the mortgage industry for 24 years. I literally started by answering I was a receptionist I was still in high school. And it was a big refi boom. And my desk used to sit behind a board that they had all come and put all their loans and their loan amounts and how much money they're making. And, I was like 17 years old. I was like,
that's interesting.
Good money.
You're like, I like helping people.
Right.
That looks good too.
So I was definitely intrigued. And my grandmother, she was a real estate agent. So I was in the housing industry without being in the housing industry just because of, my family members. But I've pretty much done everything. I've answered the phones. I've been an underwriter. I had a processing company. I've done mortgage origination. And of
been
course
on the other side of it too.
I have.
Buying and selling. And
Yep. I've pretty much done it all, so I've seen a lot.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming today and starting this with me. Yeah, we got to do it again. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so hopefully we answered some questions. If we answered one question that you had, we feel like we did a good job. If you have any other questions, please contact me about listing, selling, or just any valuations that you need to have done. My number is 727-992-2923. Or Lindsay Weber at Keystone Mortgage. We'll be glad to help you too, and we'll put up her contact information as well. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day.